Hello, how are you? Nice to have you here. My name is Denise Belisle, and I'm a Serenity expert and positive intelligence specialist. Today is my weekly live show of It's All Good. Look who's here for a chat. And unfortunately, today, no one's here for a chat. Oh no, it's okay. It's all good. We have to adapt and work around it. The guest that I had today, actually, the first guest I had today, had backed off last week, and the guest that I've had replacement had backed up this morning. So, in life of show business, you have to be ready for everything. So the talk will be a bit shorter today, but I would still want to introduce why this show is called It's All Good. And it's because it's pretty simple. It's my favorite cup. It's all good. And the reason why I call it this way is, and why I like that cup so much, it's because I found that in life, as in everything, you have to look at things that happen in your life and just take it with a grain of salt and find there's always a gift in every situation. Sometimes we have maybe a little bit harder time to see those gifts, but we have to keep an open mind and a perspective that it's all good. There's always something good that's going to come out of things, or if anything, there's something not so bad that's going to result of it, if you want to be somewhat pessimistic. So you can't change things that happen in the past. You can't change things that's going to happen in the future. So all you can do is take the moment, appreciate it 100%, and say it's all good. And let me tell you, since it's just you and I today, I'd like to talk to you about me. So why don't I do a little introduction about who I am, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and who am I looking to serve. So I'm from originally Montreal, for those that didn't recognize the French accent. And so that's why sometimes I don't pronounce word the way you might pronounce it, but that's the way I pronounce it. And that makes me me. So I'm from Montreal. I've been in Vancouver, British Columbia for the last 25 years. And I love British Columbia, even though now Vancouver is cut out of the world because of the mudslide and flooding and all that. And my heart goes out to all the people that have been affected. I feel blessed that there is no such problem where I am. I'm right in Vancouver and we're fine. But my heart goes out to all the people that are out there and are suffering and being displaced and their business shut down and evacuated and all that stuff. I think it's not something that anybody wants to go through. So if you want to help out, there's places on the internet you can go and give donation for those people if you're interested in helping out. Also, well, now I've been here, talking about me being here, and it's been like 25 years. Amazing how time flies. And some people say, yeah, but Vancouver, it rains a lot. And my answer to that is that, yeah, but you don't have to shovel it. You don't have to drive it. It drives in the rain, but it goes away and it's all good. So it's all good. See, it's all part of what I say. Also, one of the things that I like is, as you know, maybe you don't know, but I'll tell you now. I have a cat. I used to have two. One passed away a couple months ago, and I feel very sad that it's gone because I've had both cats as kittens. They're brothers from the same litters for the last 15 years, and one had cancer in his chin, and there's a lump that kept growing, and eventually the lump grew higher, and he had his mouth staying open, and he couldn't eat properly, and it broke my heart, but I kept it out of his suffering. And then his brother missed him a lot. So he might show up. Sometimes he come and cries. When I speak, he thinks I talk about him or to him. But I give him lots of love to the second one that I have, which is cool. And so what do I do? Well, I empower professional women to become more serene and peaceful in their lives so that they can still be efficient, they can still be productive, but without the stress. As a Serenity expert and positive intelligence specialist, so what I do, how I do that, and why I do it. So I'll start with the why. The reason why I do that is because I found that, especially since COVID, there's been so much stress going on in people's life, like either stress of having a fear and stress, being afraid of catching COVID or being infected, or their loved one being infected. Also, there's fear of the people around us because we don't want to catch COVID. So I remember when COVID just started and people would still have to go do their grocery shopping, and of course everybody wears a mask, and they would not even look at each other in the eyes, as if COVID was transmitted through the eyes. They would very much to themselves, and if somebody was to approach them, they would like, oh, don't touch me. And but that seems like, yeah, of course I didn't want to have COVID, but that creates fear and stress in people's mind. And what does stress do is it reduces your immune system. And the more you think of, the more you attract. So that's the philosophy of quantum physics also, that whatever your mind produce, then you will have more of it. So if you produce being afraid of COVID, being afraid to catch COVID, you will attract it more. So that's the quantum physics principle of how that works. But so the reason why is because I want to help people to be more peaceful, to be able to quiet down their mind, to be able to have some time where they can think of, yes, I am safe, I am happy. I take joy in what's around me. I take pleasure in all the little things that are around me, and I will come out as a winner at the end of the adventure. And when I talk with how I do it is I work with professional women, as I mentioned earlier, and a lot of time these women, they are married, they have kids, probably the age of 7 to 14, and they run their own business, and they run the house, and they run their kids. They take care of their kids, and they take care of everything that's going on around the house, because that's just how women are. We are we know what needs to be done around the house. And I don't say that men's, you don't do that. That's not true. But in a lot of case, it is the woman that is going to be making those decisions. And that put a lot of pressure on them, being able to, especially since the last 20 months, when you have the kids in the house, you have to run your business from the house, you have to homeschool, you have to run your business, you have to still, arrange for grocery to be picked up, and being brought in the house, and all of that, and everything that's involved put a lot of stress. And being stressed, sometimes it can be good. So if you're stressed, if you're driving down the highway and somebody cuts you off and you get stressed and you hit the brake and you avoid the accident, that's a good stress, because it's called stress, which means that is something that is pushing you, like the fight or flight, right? You react and you save yourself from something dramatic. But if you experience that from day on, like you experience stress at work, you experience stress at home, with your relationship, with your kids, with the screaming and the yelling and the way you talk to yourself, you give yourself even more stress, the preparation for your work. Well, that create sustained stress. And what sustained stress is as the body is just constantly in a higher level of stress. Normally, when you have a stress, the body will go back to its normal state, which is not being stressed out. But when you live in a sustained stress world, the stress keep going on, and the chatter in the mind keeps going on, and you live in a world that is impossible to have peace and serenity. And you end up stretching yourself too thin. You end up getting a cold. You end up getting the flu, perhaps COVID. Eventually you might develop cardiac problem. You might develop degenerative disease, because the immune system can just take so much of it. And when you're stressed out, it kind of drag your immune system down. So what I do is, by helping people, one of the things I do with positive intelligence is we quiet down the voices in your mind. First, we get to recognize them. And these voices, I wasn't ready to talk about that, but let me see if I can find my little piece of paper. We have those saboteurs, and those saboteurs are leading you into believing the voices that they're talking. For example, you have an avoider that says, you don't need to do that right now, that's okay, you can do it later, you'll be, get some rest now. Or you have the controller on the other end that says, nobody else can do it as good as me, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to know where everything is, and everything is controlled, where everything lays in the house, or how your business is run, how everybody act and react. Or the hyperachiever, that it's never good enough, they always have to go for the next goal, go for the next event, and not taking the time to take a step back and celebrate. And there's 9 of those. And then there's the judge. The judge is the controller of them all, and the judge is there overlooking everyone. And that's that voice you hear when you say, who do you think you are? Like, why like, nobody wants to listen to you, nobody wants to work with you. You're not good at math, don't even bother. All of these voices that we hear on our brain. Like, I've heard a story, like a guy was telling me that, oh, I'm not good at math, and then talking with him, he said, well, yeah, when I was in grade 6 or 7, my instructor was trying to get me to understand how this and that was working with the math. And he said, you know what, John, don't bother, you're never going to be good at math, like, just get a passing grade, I'll pass you, and just move on. And what that did is that stayed in that person's mind, and then that person ended up believing that they were not good with math. They ended up not even trying, not even putting an effort into that. So these voices that we hear, they could be an old instructor, they could be our mother, our fathers, it could be our old boyfriend, old girlfriend, or even the current one, because we hear these people say things to us, and then it stick. It's almost like you have a label, and it stick to you, and it sticks to you. And then you go and read those labels all the time, from time to time, because then you say, well, this is my identity, that's who I am, I can't help it, that's how I am. But in reality, you can change it. You don't have to be the labels that have been put on you. So what I do with my work is I help people identify first those voices and naming them, and then the awareness of knowing they're there and recognizing the voices when they talk to you. So when you have the stickler is like the perfectionist, right? So when you're there and writing, let's say, a paper or an email or a project, and you're like, oh, it's not good enough, it has to be better than that, and then you go and sweat over it all the time. And what it does is, what you do is, the perfection is like, you got to learn to say, I'm happy with the way my work is, I'm happy with the way things are. Or you will have, there's different level of stickler. Some people, when I first talk to them, they say, well, I've been labeled as a stickler, but I don't get it. And then as we start talking, and then they say, like, I'm not the type that would put the towels all lined up in the bathroom, and I'm not the type to do this and that, and I'm okay when things are not perfect. And then I say, well, do you know where everything is in your house? Do you know, if somebody asks you, where is this going, they say, yeah, second drawer, second shelf, at the back, and all that. So that's a little bit of a stickler syndrome, because everything has to have its place and all that, even though if your office is messy and things like that. And so when you recognize that, so what you do then is, you're able to now go on the other side and work at quieting down those voices, and have preventive measure to make sure that these trait of behaviors are not controlling you. So how do we do that? Well, by becoming aware of them, that it allows you to quiet them down and to reinforce it in different ways. Like, for example, with my idea of it's all good. So the idea of that is, sometime when something negative happened, instead of putting yourself down, or if you had a car accident, and let's say it's your fault. Let's say you had a car accident and it's your fault. Then you can play the blame and shame game. Oh my goodness, I'm so stupid. Why didn't I see that coming? I'm so angry at myself because I ran into these people. I could have killed someone and all la 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 la. But then you have to take a step back and say, okay, what's the gift in that? Okay, first of all, one of the gift is I'm alive. Second gift, if they are alive. Third gift is nobody got severely hurt, and the car are damaged, but they are replaceable. The insurance will pay for the replacement. So there's gift in that, even though it's a very bad adventure, but there's a gift in that. There's something that allows you to um, find something good about it. Sometimes you don't see the gift right away, but then that's one way that you can reinforce yourself in a more positive way to diminish the negative thinking and reinforce the positive one. So there's another example we do with positive intelligence is we work with the go back to have more empathy for people and for yourself. We work a lot with empathy. So how do we do that? Like we go back and thinking about your young self. So when you were a kid, were you a person that would, think about yourself 5 6 years old? You're fresh, you're just discovering everything excites you, everything is super positive, and of course you fall down, you hurt your knees, but do you cry for 5 days because you hurt your knee? No, you get back up, kiss it better, just the example, kiss it better and run it back out, oh, I'm better now, and then you just go on. You don't keep grunge, you just like life is light, and you're everything is possible. You could be a fireman, you could be a nurse, you could be a doctor, you could be a pilot when you're 5 6 years old. Everything is possible. But as we grow old, then we diminish that possibilities that we have, that we could become more anything, or that everything is possible, that life is mystery. So when we go back into empathize, and when things seems hard and difficult, then we go back to that little self, and we embrace that little human being that is still inside of you and still inside of me, and empathize with it and says, I have still that essence of that young one that I want to keep with me, and not be so afraid, not be so fearful about what's happening in my life, and just go on and live your life. And when we're curious about things that are happening in our life, we can also tell ourselves, yes, and what can I do? If you pay attention to people's language and the way they talk, often people will start a sentence with no, even if they agree. I know, now that I told you that, you'll pay attention and that you'll say, oh, that's so true. A lot of time people start sentences with the word no, even if they agree with you. And when you say yes, but in reality, that means no. So the way we talk, if we say stay open for innovation, and if somebody tells you something and you don't agree, well, look for the 10% that is good in what they told you, and reinforce that. Say, yes, I agree with that 10%. And you say what that is that you agree with. And I would like to explore that area also and go in that direction. And what if we were to do it also? So this way, you don't push people away. You welcome them to be with you in their in their ideas and your ideas, and say yes, and yes, I agree with this, and I would like to invite you to explore this also. And if both people work this way there's no fight, there's no quarrel, like a fight and all that. People are agreeing and then continuing and building together. So if you're interested to know more about what I do and how I do it, I welcome you just to reach out. Just come and ask me. This month, I've been offering, I'm almost all booked up. I have to check my calendar, but I've been offering for the month of November, because it was my birthday. I put away all the cards now because having the cards behind me for a month, it's quite excessive, but it was November 8th. And then I have offered people, gifted people, coaching session to help them move in one area of their life, a 30-minute session where we can work together and see how I can assist you into getting unstuck and moving forward. So if you want to know more about it, well, just reach out to me and say, hey, I'd like to know more about your coaching session. I'm actually going to put a link in the comment after this call. And if you're interested, you can come and join me. So that will be it for today. I'm very happy that you listen. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to share a little bit with you. And next week, I have a guest, which is Permelia Padam. And Permelia work with something that's very interesting. And it's something I've discovered years ago. And I never really met any practitioner that works with that. And Permelia is one of them. And it's called the emotional code. And then there's the second level of that she will talk to us about. And it's a very, I won't tell you so much about it. If you want to go research emotional code, you can. And that's going to be a very interesting talk. And the way we can resolve issue in our mind just by the essence of our being, knowing the truth. What if everything was a yes and no answer? How would you move forward in your life? If you ask yourself, is this water good for me? Or if this drink is good for me? And whether it's like, oh no, it's a bit too cold, a bit too hot, maybe it should be this and that. But if your body was just like, yes or no, should we do this? Yes or no? And then from that, you can discover different paths of how to heal your body, how to heal your brain also. So until next time, be kind to one another. Thank you so much for listening. And I will look forward to seeing you again soon. And have a wonderful week. Goodbye.